The dark secret of adultery was revealed to me in the most unexpected way. My wife's lover came into my life, carrying with him the truth I did not want to see. He appeared to me, carrying the amazing stories of my wife's adultery, which were the key to unraveling the whole web of lies. My heart pounded as he pulled something out of his pocket that changed all my ideas about our married life. Photos, notes, proof that my wife had betrayed me. The world collapsed before my eyes, and I realized that nothing would ever be the same again. This story of infidelity revealed new facets of the drama of fate, in which every action can have unpredictable consequences. Are you ready to enter with me into this wonderful world where betrayal and revelation succeed each other and the truth is revealed at the most unexpected moments? Get ready for an amazing story, where each step leads to a new discovery and where the masks fall away, leaving us wondering, what's next for us? Welcome to a world of amazing wife cheating stories that will turn your view of love, betrayal, and the power of truth. Greetings, everyone. Decided to write my unpredictable story here. It's such an inopportune day on May 9, but I'm not up for a holiday. Need some solid advice, so anyone who is not too lazy to listen. Maybe someone had a similar case, be damned. So, me and my sweetheart have been together officially for 2 years, only 3 years we dated. Everything like everybody else, we met, fell in love, dated, got married. Everything is usual, nothing unusual. There are children, a house, a job. I fell in love with her for her kindness and tenderness. At that time, I did not think much about fidelity and devotion. As they say, I was young. By the way, my wife is 9 years older than me, I am 22, and she is 31, respectively. But her age superiority never showed up in family life, and did not need to. All the time behaves like a little, and never justified these 9 years. I must admit I liked it. All good things come to an end at some point. This incident happened on April 29 when I found out about her piggybacking. That day we were both at work. We work in different cities, but they are not far from each other. My cell phone rings. I look at someone else's number. I pick up some guy's voice. Your wife is flirting with me. I didn't understand at first. I thought it was a joke or a prank. I asked who you were and where you got this information. He said that I should not get nervous and should not say anything to anyone. I said that I had to go there today, and I would explain everything. My blood began to boil in my veins, and I felt a devilish anger. I wanted to tear the bitch apart right now and could not believe it. Was it really true? Was my mother really capable of such bullshit? I asked myself. I was waiting for that frantic hour, for that minute, for that second to meet that guy. I smoked a pack, dropped everything, got ready, and went where he said, while I was shaking wildly. I went to the same bench in the park, and he was gone. I light a cigarette and wait. The time is running out. But he was gone 40 minutes later. In 20 minutes I call. I cannot stand this madness. The guy apparently understood the number who calls and immediately to me, "Buddy, I'm a little busy at work. Are you there?" I said, "Yes, you can go faster." And he, man, wait another half hour. Sit there. The thirst to know everything. I literally cut into pieces. My patience has reached its limits. After 40 to 50 minutes, I still did not know that it was him. But I see, going to me. And the guy is some kind of redneck, dressed plain, looks my age, but I then did not care about it. I wanted to quickly find out everything. He comes up and so quietly, "Are you?" I wanted to take him out of the leg, everything pissed off, and immediately began to pelt him with questions. Almost choked him there. Wanted to blow the fuck up. Anyway, he told me everything and showed me her texts addressed to him. I fucked up just there. This lady wrote, "I want you. It's Pindos." He started to calm me down there. I got even worse. I wanted to kill this bitch alone. And this continues. Don't be a fool. It's not worth it. Run away from her. I didn't even listen to him. I was full of anger and hatred, and jealousy first and foremost. Then I look, This jerk wants to leave. I tell him to stop, because I realized that he did not just lay it all out, began to question him out of anger, like, tell me about your meetings and what she told you verbatim. To finally get mad, I asked him if she told you about me, what she said when she met me, what you did, where you went, and how she flirted with me. And he said not a word about me. And he answered all my other questions again. Flirted, and you saw the SMS. My advice to you, leave her. The main thing, you know the truth about her. And what exactly she said does not matter now. I tell him no need to fucking teach me. I will deal with this trash myself. Even there, I pelted him with questions for 15 minutes. To burst with jealousy and asked why you told me everything. Why did you tell me everything? Why did you give up this chicken? You don't know me at all. And he said, I do not need to know a person to tell him the truth. I went through all that, and that is why I told him. I hate broads like that. And I said, how did you know my number? You could have just slept with her and that was it. And you told me the guy was normal. And he answered, I told you. I hate people like that. I myself am married, but I hid it from yours after I found your number in her phone when setting up an EMS. Now I tell you everything, make conclusions, and was about to leave again. I had a good idea, to expose this trash with the help of the guy. He was beginning to babble that if his wife finds out, he will be bad. I just wanted to see with my own eyes. As this scum agrees to lie under him, begin to build him all they say, it is only necessary to allow her consent to sex. I started to tell him that all he needed to do was to agree to have sex with her. That was it, to catch her red-handed right away, and then I would do everything by myself. I told him through a flood of jealousy, continue developing relations with her and tell me everything. I will write you questions that you will ask her. He did not agree at first. He was afraid for his wife. I said, I will pay you if I have to. I told him to start flirting with her today. We'll talk on the phone, and then we split up. And I was driving home thinking how to behave with her. Because I was in a terrible effect, my nerves were on the edge. I thought I had to cope. Just to get her out in the open, coming home. And this beauty has not yet arrived. I began to drink and wait, walking around the room as in a cell and nervous. Then she comes. Guess what I wanted to do to her right on the doorstep. And guessing is not necessary. I could not behave with her as before. The main thing to keep yourself in check. I did not even ask her anything. I fucking needed her. She went straight to bed. She was fucking tired. When she fell asleep, I went to the toilet to call the guy to start the theater. And that prick did not pick up the phone. Well, he called back. But an hour later, I told him to send me an SMS with the text. Do you love your husband? You want me? Only tomorrow morning. And to write me immediately her answer. I do not know how I went to bed. Drunk with her. I felt sick. At night, I went to smoke 100 times. In the morning, I pretended to still sleep until she leaves. But I did not sleep all night. And this bitch does not give a shit. Snoring the bitch. While she was there dying. Smeared herself. Checked my phone. And there's a text message. She said that she loves you and doesn't want me. It is necessary to stop everything. And she did not mean it. She said, and I am no longer involved in this. Deal with it yourself. Inside like a stone the heart. But I wanted to finish everything to the end. Anger cannot chase away. This fool has gone away. And I called him. He does not answer the phone. I called for 3 hours, and I called 10 times before I got to work. I realized it was useless. And I told myself that I would deal with her in the evening. And I worked that lousy day somehow. I could not think of anything else but this. I could not get rid of my thoughts. The bosses were tightening their tongues, saying that you do not work. I think to myself, how to work and step, to not burn. I come home in the evening. On the way, I grabbed a couple of bottles of beer. And this again, no. I tried to call that guy. Again, no answer. Then I thought, maybe they are even now with sex. But no. Why did he give it to me then? I am not naive. But it seemed to me a delusion, than the sense he gave it. And his wife has, if he did not lie, and refuses to help me. Maybe he's a cabular, and he doesn't give a shit about his wife. No, that's still bullshit. I probably chased those shitty thoughts away because I was most afraid of their implementation. I stifled everything with beer and waited for that bitch. I sit and think, what if she agreed to have sex? And now he may call to catch her red-handed. What the hell am I talking about? I told him to let her consent and not to sleep with her. If he touches her, I'll fuck him myself. Suddenly it comes back. I'm mad as hell. I don't have to guess now. And it's stupid for her. Hi. How are you? She is nice. In short, I could not hold it all in myself anymore, and I said, I know everything. I know about your flirting with others. She paused, came up with a bitch from the mask on the way, and said, do not think anything bad, and began to noodle, as if I was not me, and did not tell them anything such, and you stupidly believed him. And infuriated, I slapped her face and went outside to smoke. I myself do not calm down and returned. I told her to shut up and make excuses. It was useless. He showed me all your text messages and turned you in. She was giving me excuses for half an hour like a fool, and then she cried and said, forgive me, honey, I do not need him. And I said, I told him such bullshit after all. I went outside, and an hour later I came back inside, and she was sobbing again, apologizing, swearing that she will never do that again. I called her a slut and went to the kitchen, but she was falling down and put her arms around my leg. She was apologizing and sobbing. I can't forgive. I just can't. All the time I hear these texts and in my head. She is afraid that I will change the quality of the place. But I do not need it. I gave up on her. She began to flatter me like a Cinderella, bringing coffee to bed. I always drive her away, but it cannot be like this forever. I have to decide whether to forgive or not. You can say it was not cheating, but if a guy let her, she would have. So I tell you everything, and I need male advice, and women can basically also unsubscribe. Thank you in advance. Dear author, what I want to say first of all, marriage at 21. I remember everything correctly. You seem to be 21. Very young dandy. Well, okay, this is not an offense in any way. It's just a fact, first of all. Marriage at this age is at least unreasonable, because you don't understand a damn thing about people, and especially with a woman who is 9 years older than you. Yes, it turns out there is a difference of 9 years. Well, what a difference. No difference at all. Really? Well, it's good to say when people meet at 40 and say they're at 49. Then there is virtually no difference. This is a fact. But in your case, the lady has lived a lifetime, this youth. A hot youth. We were all young. Really, we all know what's going on there and what kind of life it is. And I understand that the broad is beaten. As they say, that was the first mistake. And the second one you can still make if you don't listen to my advice in the comments under this video. Because I already know what our listeners will say to that. So the second mistake is if you stay with her, generally a young kid. Okay, even a guy. Okay, you have your whole life ahead. Now all in front of you at literally 21. It seems that only higher education graduates, if now nothing has changed, so all in front of you. All in your hands, and do not let soiled his fate. Then you will walk with a nervous tick, and perhaps, well, given that you have a boy love abuse to the weaker sex, which I do not support in any way, then you can, and in places not so distant to appear for the ardor and temper, and thoughtless acts. Friends, let's advise something to Guy. Let's see how many us here like-minded, so to say. But I am sure absolutely all, the vast majority. But if you consider that treason, there probably was not. Let's still discuss. And now on to the second story. Fate throws us challenges that sometimes seem unbearable. I was trapped in my own fate when my wife's brazen adultery was revealed to me. I was torn between love and betrayal, between the past and the future. Everything I had believed in, everything we had built, collapsed in an instant. Now I stand before you with a question. How can I be? Life has been turned upside down, and I am seeking advice, seeking understanding, seeking answers to my toughest questions. In this video, we will go into a wonderful world where the dramas of fate are intertwined with our personal stories. We will sort things out, look for solutions, and find the strength to overcome this unpredictable situation. Get ready to live a story full of intrigue, emotion, and unexpected turns of events with me. Welcome to a world of amazing stories where the drama of destiny weaves its threads and where we, together, will seek light in the dark. I'll probably start with myself. That makes more sense. I am 32 years old, working at an enterprise. Though it's hard to call what's left of the once huge plant an enterprise. Only 3 workshops out of 44 are working, the other 41 something demolished or partially destroyed. Some rented for manufacturing plastic windows, various RTI, or just sub-warehouses. Do not believe me, but even vegetables are stored in the shops of the former plant. This is not the most important thing, and that's not what I want to talk about today. I work as an electronic engineer, but my electronics are very specific. Manufactured in the 70s, 80s of the last century. The fact is that our factory supports a very large number of enterprises in Russia and those enterprises that remained abroad. On the territory of the former Soviet Union, which still uses equipment that used to be produced at our plant. Yes, we still make something of what was produced half a century ago. Of course, not very much, but enough to supply this equipment to the plants that use the technology of the last century. Apparently, they will continue to do so. They are not going to modernize. Why buy new equipment and spend money if the old one works, albeit badly, but it still works? At best, if it breaks down, they will buy it in China, and the cost of production and delivery from under the sky will be spread out on the cost of production. But even Chinese products can cost a pretty penny. You have to first develop and implement, and even adapt the equipment to Chinese components. And until the development, until implementation, the plant will not stand and wait so long. It's the same losses. When I got a job at the plant after university, they thought I was an idiot. All of my fellow students had gone into commercial organizations, dealing with cubes, selling, or providing services. No one wanted to go into manufacturing. They all wanted to sit in offices and not pick up anything heavier than a telephone. When I came to the plant, I chose a 70-year-old retired man who knew, repaired old equipment, and was a hot seller. He taught me everything in his spare time because he was almost always on business trips, and he had to travel a lot. Soon, he began to take me with him so that I could consolidate my knowledge in practice. I was very surprised and pleased with my first salary after my first business trip. I spent 5 years learning the ins and outs of work, and now, at the factory, I saw off my mentor with honors, retired of course, and everything fell on me. My wife of 27 years, we got married as students. You know how it is, there is a girl in any educational institution, which all the guys talk about, here and at our institute was such, hankering after her, all who could. Even the methodologist of our university, a very respectable man, 42 years old trim, good-looking, and most importantly not married. Of course, yes, and I made attempts, but unsuccessfully, as if she did not notice me. It came out, however, that she approached me on her own. This happened at a birthday party classmate, where she was also invited, although she was not from our group. Since then, we haven't parted ways. Just before graduation, we got married. She worked, I worked, and we didn't think about having kids yet. And where to raise children in a one-room Hrushevka, which I inherited from my grandmother. So we decided to build our lives first, and then to think about children. We lived well, took a vacation abroad every year, bought a car, and saved up money for a 2-bedroom apartment, since I was earning quite a bit of money. I constantly traveled around Russia. Sometimes I had to go to Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia. And I also went to Europe, to Hungary, Slovakia, Macedonia, and once to Romania. I even went to Mongolia, and I don't think it was the last time. From business trips to the former Soviet Union and the near abroad, I used to arrive exhausted. Yes, you can't. Everything was always urgent and needed to be done yesterday. I always did the job alone, Sometimes I even had to do the locksmithing. They gave me just anyone as an assistant. All they could do was run, give, fuck off, don't interfere. After these business trips, they always gave me 3 days off. So I spent the first 24 hours sleeping and lazing around, and the rest of the time I devoted to household chores and my wife. I gave my wife the presents she had brought, and, as a rule, on the third night of her day off, I took her to a restaurant. 2 more years passed in such a rhythm, and then, one morning returning from another trip, it was my day off. I took a bath and went to bed. My wife went to see her friend, explaining that she did not want to disturb my rest, and what fun it was to look at me sleeping. My wife left, and I fell asleep. Just an hour later, I was awakened by a persistent call on the intercom. I thought, if there's no fire, flood, or war, I'll kill. My wife had the key. She would have opened it herself. I had to get up. It took me a long time to figure out what the man wanted, so I let him in the entryway, opened the door to the apartment, and waited. He came in, called me by name and patronymic, handed me a bottle of good cognac, and said that he was my wife's lover. At first I did not understand. Apparently, the embrace of sleep still firmly held my consciousness. Then gradually, it began to come to me. I invited the stranger into the kitchen, opened the bottle, took out the shot glasses, poured us some cognac. We drank. I sat down across from the stranger and said, "Tell me about it." It turns out that my wife has been having an affair for 2 years now. We met in a bar when my wife and her friend were resting from their labors. My wife told the lover that she was single, and they met in a rented apartment. The lover said that she was there and was waiting for him. But he found out everything by chance. He just bumped into his wife's friend. They went to a cafe, sat for a while, talked. He found out through her friend and the address where we live, and the fact that he is here now, purely by chance, came on a whim and caught me, that he would never start a relationship with her, knowing that she has a husband. Man good, he had his suspicions that the woman, my wife, was cheating on him and even tried to follow up. Met her a couple of times, but always alone. He apologized to me, saying he only found out 3 days ago. Said if I wanted, we could go to a rented apartment with him now, so I wouldn't think he was a hooligan. To top it off, he said he could name some intimate marks on his wife's body that only very, very close people would know. When my wife came back in the evening, I was very drunk. Never been drunk before. I had never been drunk. I could drink 2, 3 shots and no more. She tried to talk to me, but I just looked at her and kept quiet. She put me to bed. In the morning she left for work, and I, after sitting in the shower for an hour, cleaned myself up, started to pack her things. The divorce went in a pattern. I kept silent. My wife only talked. It turned out that it was impossible to live with me. I did not pay attention. I was cold in relationships, stingy, and most importantly, it turns out I was totally against children. It was frustrating, very frustrating, but that was not all. 3 months later, my wife made an appointment. We met at our restaurant, where we went every night of my 3rd day off. My wife apologized, told me she was wrong, but the fault of her cheating was yes, it was me, that she loved me and wanted to be with me. What she pouted, after what she said in court and after the division of property, by the way, saved up for the apartment with the amount of money she gave her mother, I somehow overlooked it. So besides the apartment and car, I have nothing. She took everything down to the old DVD player, which was gathering dust in the closet room, and my wedding ring. But that's okay. I have a head, arms, legs. I'll earn it. To be honest, dear listeners, for some reason I do not really believe it. But the man who sent me this claims that this is his real story, that it happened to him personally. Give me likes or dislikes. Share comments. I would like to know your opinion. Subscribe if you are not signed. See you soon.